Planet Vero Studio is powered by the Nolan Group of eXp Realty.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm David Yakir.
And I'm Susan Keller-Horn.
And you're listening to Yak About Today in Film, where you never know how the film will end. So get up, put your headphones on, go for a run, and listen to what we yak about today. Hey, thanks for listening. I am David Yakir here with Susan Keller-Horn. And before we get going, I want to thank New Vision Eye Center for sponsoring this show. And as many of you know, or many of you listeners know, for the last 9 years, New Vision has been sponsoring the Yak About Today series. So we thank them. And as I've always said before, you would never know. Oh, I forgot the tagline. Right? I always say, because, I know what it is. I'm sorry. It's because we moved it to the beginning instead of the middle.
Yes, we did.
Right? Where I say, because I wouldn't trust my eyes to anyone else. Out to New Vision. Thanks for sponsoring the show anyway. All right.
Hey,
So
you may have messed up the line, but at least you look good. Your glasses look great.
That's right. So we may not be here next week. So, anyway, we always talk about the festival to start, and the festival will be in 23 in June. And
Tell everybody the dates, David. It's the Vero Beach Film Festival, and the dates are...
It's one day off. Actually, it's the 7th through the 11th.
Now we're even messing up more. I think it's the 8th through the 11th. I think it's the date.
We may have another day difference, but
it's
all
Thursday through Sunday, the second weekend of June.
We think.
We know.
That's where we are in planning. But as you all know, when you plan something, there are changes throughout the planning process. But one of the things we've been talking about when we've been sitting around is we have always had the idea of maybe starting a film program throughout the year, a film series where we may show a film every month leading up to the festival. So that's been in discussion lately, and we're trying to sort of work out the strategy for what that would look like. So we're hoping we bring that to fruition in the coming year.
And I think you also want to expand some of our education opportunities with film and all the different various things that go along with film. So.
Yeah, we talk about this often. One of the things we hear at the end of the film festival is how the filmmakers love the festival. And many times, sometimes they tell us they love it because of the way we take care of them. We house many filmmakers and we treat them to lunches and dinners and parties, and they love our roundtables and some of our lectures. And again, when we were starting to go into planning for 23, we started talking about maybe expanding into a filmmaker day. And we're seeing what that looks like, what that might look like now. So there's a lot of things we're working on for the 23 festival.
And the education part of it is actually a great segue to introducing our guest, Mark Schimmel. Mark is a film educator as well as a filmmaker himself. And he's a super friend of the film festival. And what year was it, Mark, that you won at our festival for your film? Tell us all about that.
That's a really good question. I want to say that before
COVID has messed up all our brains.
I have the award from the film festival right up there. I believe it was 2021, 2018, 2019.
I think it was 2018. I think it was 2018, but I'm not sure. It was 18 or 19. Was the year, I know, but we were we love your film, and so tell us a little bit about that film you brought to us. And if if everybody's looking at Mark, on the shelf behind him is his trophy that he won at the Vero Beach Film Festival. So thanks for sharing that with us.
And our trophies just went out to our recent winners the other day, so we're happy about that.
You know, The Musician is a story about love and hope and forgiveness. And it basically follows a famous musician who decides to go off on the street and basically play for the people incognito. Her violin gets stolen, and then by a young street child, she recovers the violin. The true act of forgiveness is she teaches the child how to play, and then by the end of the story, the child takes on the role of playing music in the street.
I love that. I love that. But that's not the only film you've been involved with, and you've been involved with film and advertising and all different kinds of things throughout your entire career. How did you get started? Where did this all come from?
Let's start at the very beginning. Very good.
Okay, David's not going to sing anymore, I promise.
Well, before I begin, I just want to acknowledge you folks. Thank you for having me here. I'm truly honored, and this is a wonderful opportunity for me to share a little bit of myself and a little bit of my career and humble beginnings with your audience. Maybe it will inspire somebody. I always wanted to make movies. I mean, when I was a kid, I drew pictures of famous movie stars. I loved Charlie Chaplin and Clint Eastwood and Al Pacino and also all sorts of iconic actors. I was very, very lucky in that I was born with an ability to draw. So I used my artistic skills to basically get me into art school. I went to a school called Pratt Institute in Brooklyn, New York.
That's
And
an
there I
amazing
studied
school.
art and design. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it was great being there. I really embraced it. As a matter of fact, I remember driving out from Chicago to New York. And during that drive, all I thought is that this is my shot. This is my one opportunity to really do something with my life and follow my dream. While at Pratt, I was taking advertising courses at Y&R, which is an ad agency in New York City on Madison Avenue. And I absolutely love the idea of concept development and storytelling. So I was actually recruited before I graduated college to work at SSCNB Lintus USA. And there I was given a training program where I learned how to walk the walk, talk the talk. It was 6 months of intense education on how to be in advertising. I had wonderful mentors there, and I was very lucky in terms of having the ability to advance my career. While at Lintus, I worked very hard to get on the Diet Coke team, which was all commercials. And that was sort of my entree into filmmaking, because I really didn't know how to get into filmmaking otherwise. So being exposed to directors like Adrian Lyne or Ridley Scott or Jeremiah Chechik, who were all making commercials at the time, really inspired me to follow my dream. I ended up going to a garage sale years later and picking up an 8mm film camera and basically making my first short film, which was called A Bread Time Story. Much to my surprise, oh, thank you. Much to my surprise, it won a silver Hugo at the Chicago International Film Festival.
Wow.
And I took that. Yeah, it was crazy. I didn't expect that. I thought it was pretty good, but I didn't really understand the significance of it. Anyways, I had this little movie and I showed it to an advertising agency in New York City. And the creative director loved it as much as I did. And he actually gave me one of my first opportunities to direct a commercial. At the same time, interesting enough, I was making some animal rights documentaries, which was a passion of mine, because I believe that when you're given a talent, I think it's really important to give a little bit of that back to the world. And the only way I could really think of contributing to that particular cause was to make really compelling stories about animals that were in not such great situations. So I was trying to get this documentary off the ground. It was recognized by a New York City production company named Lopes Pictures. And Rick Lopes was really the person who I credit with launching my career. He introduced me to his production company and suggested that I direct a commercial for the United States Post Office through an ad agency in New York called Foot, Cone, and Belding. While I was prepping that commercial, the production company asked me who I wanted to work with as a cinematographer. And coincidentally, I was in contact with a gaffer who wanted to be a cinematographer in New York City named Michael Slovis. And I really fought to get Michael on board because I loved his cinematography. And Michael also became one of my mentors over the next 7 years. Today, Michael is actually a really well-known director. Last I heard, he was, directing the likes of Game of Thrones, and he was also the cinematographer for Breaking Bad. So
Wow.
one of the ingredients, yeah, it was crazy. One of the ingredients for my success is that I was very lucky to have some really great people around me who I learned from. And I continue to do that. I continue to try to surround myself with people who I can learn from and grow with, and also people that I can help to teach and to grow in this business.
So how did you get into, because you also are a film instructor, you've taught at several different schools. How did you get into that?
Well, that's a great story too. I had I don't know. I'm a storyteller.
Before you start telling the story, David handed me the packet of the information, because I asked you to send us a little information about yourself. And he's like, Susan, look at this. And I mean, I've known you for years and we've been friends, and I'm going through this like, oh, wow. Wow. So, and I'm saying it throughout the interview as well, but I just want you to know that we are very impressed by you.
Very. I thought you were one of the most impressive people that we've met.
So it's very, very cool. Well, but tell us your story, though, please. I stopped you. I apologize.
No, thank you for that. I'm humbled, and it's not easy being a creative person in a very competitive industry. So every day, and I mean this, I try to take a step to advance myself, whether it's personally or professionally or with my family. And I think that's really important for me. I guess in many ways I'm driven by this, in one hand, this fear that I'll go backwards, and I don't want to go backwards. I grew up very underprivileged. On the other hand, I'm driven by creativity and inspiration and really wanting to make a difference, in the lives of people who I come in contact with. So I think that's what drives me. The question that you asked me was, how did I get into
education,
directing or teaching? Teaching. Wow. I was.
And what are the schools you've taught as well? So. Yeah,
oh my gosh, I've taught at Columbia College Chicago, which is a very high-ranked film school. And then I was recruited to teach for the past 2 years at Ringling College of Art and Design in Sarasota, Florida, heading up the branded entertainment track. So I've been very lucky that I've been able to teach at two really amazing places. What really got me into it is that a friend of mine, Marianne Dazalskis, who's a really terrific assistant director in Chicago, had gotten to know me through some projects, and Columbia College was looking for an instructor. So Kevin Cooper, who is the vice chairman at Columbia and a notable producer and director, scheduled a couple meetings with me, and I continued to say, no, thank you, I'm not a teacher. eventually I accepted the position and I started teaching there. I launched the commercial filmmaking courses, and then I advanced into teaching producing, line producing for the practicum and thesis. And that really launched my teaching career. And it was amazing. I mean, I could only teach really 1 or 2 classes a semester because I was so busy in my professional life, but it provided me with the same sense of contribution, creativity, and inspiration that I was receiving on a movie set, which was really a surprise to me. And then about, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, I decided to go back to college. And I have to admit, I went back kicking and screaming. In my 50s, I did not want to go back to school, but I recognized that the world looks at your knowledge and education as value. So, in order to pursue a career in teaching full time, if that's what I wanted, I went back to earn my master's degree at Vermont College of Fine Arts, which is a wonderful school. And I successfully earned my degree there. And I'm really glad I did, because without that degree, I wouldn't be able to teach as frequently as I could. And currently, I'm not teaching, I'm producing and directing.
So, you've made a bunch of films, at least 4, at least 4 short films, but you've also been involved in a lot of films. How did you get those distributed?
Yes. Well, The Now, which is from Peter and Bobby Fairley, that was produced by Anonymous Content, with the exec producer was John Schwartz and Jeffrey Katzenberg. That was originally a Quibi. And when Quibi dissolved, that project was picked up by Roku. So it was pretty easy for that miniseries to get distribution. The features that I have been involved with, for the most part, have never really been completed. It was start and stop. The short films are probably the most challenging, because there's really very little, if any, places you can distribute a short film. So in order for people to see the work that I was doing, my strategy was really to submit the short films to film festivals, such as the Vero Beach Film Festival, which is, actually, and I'm not just saying this because I'm on the show, it is by far my favorite film festival that I've ever attended and ever submitted to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, the truth is in the action, in that I tell all of my filmmaking friends, this is the festival to submit to, for lots of reasons. Once the film is completed its festival run, which is about 2 years, basically I generated websites for each of the films and distributed them online. And that's the best way for people to see them. I direct traffic to the websites.
Yeah, what is the website? We need to tell people that.
KillTheLightMovie.com, TheMusicianMovie.com, and then if you're interested, my website is MarkSchimmel.com.
And spelling.
But that's the best way to distribute. Yes, it is. Thank you for that plug.
Just a point. I think people don't realize that for many, many, many filmmakers, the festival circuit is their distribution channel. Because
Absolutely.
It's because it's so difficult to get distribution, and especially, as you were saying, short form films, the shorts, as we call it, don't have many places, even if they were great, to be distributed.
And I will say, I don't know why there's not a place to distribute shorts, because that's probably one of my favorite parts of the film festival, is watching all the shorts. And it's fun, and it's fun to see different perspectives and a story told in such a short time.
There are some great websites out there like Omeletto or Shorts.tv, which I distributed Kill the Light on. And then there are some private channels like AT&T, for instance, and then, which may distribute the films on as part of the programming on airlines, et cetera, et cetera. But David, you're absolutely right. I mean, a lot of filmmakers don't understand that the festival is a form of distribution. And really, festivals, have their roots in acquiring talent, so to speak. So what I mean by that is when you submit a film to a festival, your audience that's watching those films could be looking for somebody just like you. There's also an opportunity at festivals to network, not just with other filmmakers, but with people, again, who are looking to acquire talent. It can help you launch your next film. It can help you advance your career, and it can help you to collaborate in the future collaborations with people who can support you in your next projects. So a festival to me is a win-win-win for the filmmaker, for the festival, and of course for the audience.
Thank you. What is your next steps? What is Mark Schimmel doing now, and what is he going forward with?
Well, teaching for Ringling concluded in May. And the first thing I did, which is really important for every filmmaker to do, is I reinvented myself. Every few years, I find a need to create a new website, edit a new demo reel, and start to get my name out there again and again and again, especially as COVID winds down, God willing. It was really important for me to get myself back out there. So the next steps for me are pretty clear and concise. I'm back producing and directing, which is really wonderful. I love doing that. And I love traveling. I actually just returned from Ohio, producing 2 commercials for a really wonderful production company and some really wonderful people. And it's interesting being a director and moving over to the producing side, because you're really able to contribute and support the directors, understanding their vision, knowing what they need, helping them to find the best crew, and surrounding them with people who will nurture and help them do their absolute best on set. Yes, sir.
Thank you, because we're time limited.
We are hitting the end. But thank you so much for joining us. We love you, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
Wow, thank you.
Dr. Stephen Tate offers the safest and most efficient technique for customized cataract surgery. Patients are personally counseled on the best approach for their needs and lifestyle. From multifocal lenses that allow for distance and reading vision to toric lenses that correct astigmatism, let New Vision Eye Center guide you safely through your options. For world-class eye care on the Treasure Coast, visit newvisioneyecenter.com.